very quick guide to how you trace around some artwork that you've drawn using Adobe Illustrator, and then also just colour it in a little bit. So this is the image, so once you've opened it up it might be quite big. So 33%. Now you open the image up, just click on mask, and then on these points here you should then be able to just crop the image down. Okay. Let's try that one again. Okay. So once you've cropped it, I just clicked off of it just to resize it. So again, we're looking big image. Okay. Okay. Next thing, once you've clicked on the picture, maybe just resize it. Okay. Object, transform, rotate, and it'll be 180. So that's the image that you're going to trace around. Probably 66, okay. So a bit like Photoshop, you have a layer. If you make a new layer, so you have a blank layer, and then on this layer that the artwork was on, double click, should be able to double click just to the right of it, and then do template, and click OK, so that then shades it, and it's locked now. So you're going to do all your drawing, your tracing on this layer. Now you'll be using the paintbrush tool. You might click on paintbrush and nothing happens. If you click on ellipse, we're going to make an actual brush stroke style. So I'll just draw an ellipse, double click, okay, just change the color into black. That is going to be a brush stroke style. Okay, so just now I've drawn that ellipse, I can then go to window and brushes. So at the moment there's actually no brushes that we've made, so I'll just drag it into that window. It's a new art brush, click OK, and where it says colorization, just change to tints, which means you can change the color of the outline later on. So click OK. You don't need that anymore, so you can delete that. Now if I click on paintbrush, you should be able to then, there you go. So now you have that kind of style where it's thin, thick, thin. It's quite thick. This is the bit that would take quite a bit of time. I'll just do window, and there's brushes there. So what you can do is obviously have a thick stroke or slightly thinner. If you're tracing around the outside of the face, and what you would end up doing is just trying to make a complete kind of shape. So this is done very, very, very quickly. So you do something like that, you would probably want to make this or join these parts up. So where you've got the face, this would need to be solid, because eventually you're going to colour in the face and it will have one sort of uniform colour. So when you're doing this, you just have to make sure that you actually kind of make sure it's joined up. So this is very, very quick. That's one style. You can also make, again, that's not great, so you could just do transform. That doesn't matter, you can clean these bits in after. What you can also do, so you have at the moment just one brush style. You can make different styles of brush with the pen tool. So you could have one that goes thick, and then just kind of tapers. So it's like a point, and again, it's at the moment it needs to be filled in, so I'll just click on, just so you can see the rough shape. So you can just click on transform and just something like that. And then you just do the same thing, drag it into that brushes folder, open, tints, click OK. You don't need that anymore, so now you have this other brush, so when you zoom out, and that brush selected, paintbrush, and you can, so then you have a slightly different style of brush, which you might want for, say, hair, something like that. You may want something to start thick and then gradually go thin, or you might want the original style. And you can do that, all sorts of different style brushes, so you could do another brush that was something like this, so it depends on your artwork. So you could then have another style like this, tints, and brush. Okay, so you have different styles of brushing, and this is just where it would just take a bit of time, just tracing around the outside. Okay, so whatever your artwork is, you can just take your time and then just spend a bit of time tracing around the outside. So eventually you'll end up with something like this. So you have the artwork underneath and the tracing. The tracing hasn't been, it's moved a little bit, but so you get the general idea. So I like that. Okay, so this is now your finished artwork, so which we're then going to try and colour in. If I click on layer, there is a lot of paths, different paths, every single kind of stroke that you've made. So what we need is to kind of try and join things up a little bit. Now if you highlight everything, so you drag, click around the outside, objects, and expand appearance. Okay, and then highlight everything again, and you go to window, and you choose Pathfinder, and then click Unite. What you should then be able to do, should actually have changed. Okay, so now it's grouped, so everywhere that you've made a full circle, like the hair or the face, it's then kind of grouped it together. At least it should have done. If I highlight that again, do objects, compound path and release. Okay, so it's coloured everything in, so it's solid, so you can see that you don't have any parts of the drawing that are that have holes in. So that's why you had to join up all the brushes that you were doing. You had to join up all the different parts, because if you didn't, then that might not be, it might not have turned dark. Long story short, it just means that you've got a solid thing like the skirts there, the hair or the hat. It means you can colour it one colour. So what should happen is I'm going to try and find a face, which looks like that one. Okay. So what I'm going to try and do is select the face and then colour it. So I'm trying to click on face there. Let's see. Okay, that's there. So I've selected the face, and that's it there. So if you haven't got it open, you do window and colour. You should be able to just, okay, paints a yellow face. You can have a yellow outline or a slightly different colour outline. You can change it to also a gradient effect. So to make it look realistic, if you haven't got it open, you go window and gradient, and you should be able to change the gradient, the colour from, so rather than just a solid, it should be then just almost look like the sun is shining on it. Now if that doesn't, if you click on gradient and it doesn't let you choose a colour. Just on the colour menu, click there and do CMYK. Okay, gradient slider, click off that. Should be able to then just do, there you go. Okay, so you can adjust how much sun. You can also, yeah, you can adjust where the sun is coming from. So you just click on that one there, that gradient tool. There you go. So that now sun is kind of shining from up above. Other stuff is you should be able to click on opacity as well. There you go. So you can actually fade it out a little bit if you want as well. So that is the basics of it. So we're just over 11 minutes. So basically you would go through all the parts of it, of the model, and then just of the tracing, and then just colour it in. And that's pretty much it. So as a quick tutorial, the only thing you might find, there's the face. Now it's underneath all these other things, but the eyes, if you're trying to click and find out where the eyes are, sometimes you might get them, but it might actually, you may need to click there. Okay, what was that? Oh, they're buttons. Okay, I'm trying to find, okay, there's the eye. So click on the eye. It might actually be easier to drag that above the face, and maybe do that. Start with, that's definitely an eye. Okay, so just one at a time, and then just give the eye a colour, and then just change it. Okay, very, very simple, but that's just something to be aware of. So they look like kind of glasses, so the colouring is very, very poor on this, the way I'm doing it, but just for speed. So you can zoom in and then be very, very precise about the colour. I'm trying to get opacity. You can change. So look. Oh, come off. Okay. Colour. I'll just try it. Wow. Okay, and that can happen because I've selected the whole model. So just Command and Z. Okay. So basically you're just, as you go through each bit, you're just adjusting it and just colouring it in. I'm trying to do a linear on the hair. Okay, again it's gone back to, okay, so lovely. Okay, and that is pretty much how you would do the colouring, and it just, the time you take, the better it is. The more time, the better it would be. And you can add, so you can be very precise with the gradient. So you can add more dots in there, something like that, and then just turn the opacity down however you want. And so that would be it. And you would end up something, and this is not very good, but something. In fact, that's awful, but something like that. This one actually has done quite a strange thing. So I think I've joined up the arm and part of the shirt or the blouse or whatever it was. So actually this is not a particularly good example, but it just shows what a finished bit of artwork could look like. If you take a bit of time and just do the gradients, take a bit of time on the gradients, and also the outline as well. So probably when you're tracing around the outside, that shouldn't have been quite so thick. But in under 15 minutes, that is how you trace around the outside using the pen tool, and then using mainly the gradient tool to colour in some lovely artwork.